But what I want to do now is take you through my trend philosophy. So it's not a linear process, and we're going to go through the alphabet because my book, The Trendmaster's Guide, is basically an A to Z, very simplified, fun learning guide. It's a little handbook. You can read it in 45 minutes, and because of our time constraints this morning, I'm not going to take you through every letter, but I'm going to take you through the most important letters. So we'll begin our tour of the alphabet with A is for antenna. Now, the idea is that you have to always have your antenna out, your radar on, your periscope up, and your scanner on high, because you need, as a Trendmaster, to be able to tune into all those little details and the trivial nuances and those little tiny trend bits of data that are just out there in the universe, that we think that sounds so simple and so easy, you know, be aware, pay attention, put your antenna out, but in reality, it's not that easy. Why? Because we live in a virtual world. We spend more of our time in front of a screen, a computer screen, a television screen, our BlackBerry, a cell phone, than we do living in the moment, in the present, in the world that we are actually living in. And so because of that, not only that, when we are in the real world, we're usually multitasking. We're doing 13 things at once. At least that's how I tend to operate. So we're not really in the moment. And we tend to overlook these trivial or seemingly trivial little trend tidbits that eventually are going to point you in the right direction. So an example of a company that I like to talk about that really had their antenna out was Westin Hotels. The housekeepers are actually the ones who noticed that when they went into their hotel rooms early on, before the heavenly bed, they would go into the room and notice that the bedspread, that multi-floral colored printed bedspread that was kind of polyester-y, had been rolled back to the end of the bed or even pushed off onto the floor. And they would spend more time picking that up and putting it back on the bed. And as they were talking about it one day, they realized that's telling them something. It's telling them that when the customer or the guest for that night comes into the room, they think that bedspread might not be very clean. And wouldn't it be great if we could just have a white bed, an all-white bed? Now you can imagine the left-brainers in the room going cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. What's that going to cost? All down pillows, brand new mattresses? Well, the company invested in their heavenly bed so that you can get a great night's sleep, and it's become a major trend across the hotel industry. So much so that when they first launched the program, they were amazed that the guests were calling down to the front desk and saying, I want to buy your pillows. I want to buy your comforter. Can I buy your box spring and mattress? And they didn't just ignore that. Their trend antenna was telling them something. They created a 1-800 line and eventually a catalog where you can go online or buy that product and bring that home to your house. Now, what's so ironic is that if you're a road warrior, you're probably used to the idea that you couldn't wait to get home to your own bed. Now many of us can't wait to get to the Westin Hotel, to the heavenly bed, and we want to bring that bed home with us. And what you might be amazed to learn is that you can go to any Nordstrom store in the country and you can buy a Westin heavenly bed. That's a lot of sales dollars on very little marketing input that's caused a major impact or trend in the whole hotel industry. I had a very good night's sleep here at the Renaissance last night in their heavenly bed version. So B is for big picture. Now, you've got all these little trend data, little points of interest, and you're looking at all these details. How do you find the big picture? And what you have to do after gathering all this information is funnel it in to figure out what's important. Now, the big picture is sometimes hard to find, but it's worth the effort, and it takes a little different perspective. Here's a story for you. Most companies that make and sell paint, used to spend millions of dollars a year in R&D. How can we make a better paint? How can we make it go on easier? How can we make it a better color palette? How can we make it cleaner, less toxic, whatever? And that was how they competed in their marketplace. Now, one day in a product development meeting at Dutch Boy, the story goes, there was a designer in the room. He'd been invited to a product development meeting. At that time, that was pretty rare. Thank goodness that's changing in the face of product development across our country today. But the designer piped up and raised his hand and asked a question. He said, what if it's not about the paint? And they all looked at him like, well, of course it's about the paint. That's our product. He says, no, no, no. What if it's about the painting experience? And everybody stopped. And he goes, well, you know, why does paint always come in that metal bucket with that thin little handle, and you have to pry the spout off, and you pour it, and it's really sloppy, and then you put the lid back on, and it gunks up because there's no spout? He says, why couldn't it come in a plastic jug with a handle, a pour spout, and a twist-off cap, like our laundry detergent does? So the company basically retooled their packaging. They won many design awards. They got a lot of buzz in the marketing and packaging industry for what they'd created. And their comp sales went up 20% the first year. Nothing different inside that paint can. The same paint, the same color palette, but it was because they made the painting experience more pleasurable for the guest, for the user, that they basically, again, created a revolution in the business. So the point is that the big picture is worth spending a little extra time trying to find, and it takes a different perspective in your outlook in order to get there. C is for connect the dots. You've got all these trend trivia data points, you've got a big picture in mind. Now what do you do? How do you connect them in a way that's meaningful to your guests' lives? Let's take a look at the pet industry. It's no secret that Americans love their pets. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Everyone from Target to Gucci to Burberry, to Isaac Mizrahi, to Harley Davidson have spent a lot of money marketing and promoting outfits for your pet, designer dog beds, organic biscuits and treats. It's a huge industry in America. So what if you were in the nail polish business? How would you translate and connect those dots? Well, OPI found a great way. It's called polish. It's color for nails for those with tails. And it delivers the perfect pedicure for your four-legged friends. And it comes in particularly fabulous colors, 5 best-selling colors. Number 1, hydrant red, fire hydrant red. So again, it created a lot of buzz. It's a wonderful story, and it's just a unique way that they can connect the dots and participate in the pet trend.